People on the block thought we were crazy because we were selling to white people. First time I sold coke, I was 14 years old. And then we took it to the next level where we stopped dealing on the corner. There was nobody doing it like I was doing it. We started handing out 10,000 business cards, like wildfire. Just blew up. We couldn't keep up with the demand. I'm like, yo, I need your help, I need your help. And that's where I up. I was being tapped by the feds. And I'm like, these mother, man. My name is Cost Marte, AKA Cost the Boss. I grew up in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. It was a very drug-infested neighborhood back in the day. It was a place where probably every 10 steps I took as a kid, I would see a heroin needle. It's not the galleries and poodles that you see today. It was like Iraq or some shit, you know, a war zone. My mom came to New York 6 months pregnant with me. 3 months later, I popped out. You know, first American-born citizen in my family. So it was just my mom and I for a little while. My dad and my sisters came from the Dominican Republic when they got like their visas and stuff like that. My brother was born a few years later, but it was a struggle. I really understood poverty at a very early age. The fact that I was born poor, and I don't know, I felt the divide even racially. Even like watching like the TV shows on TV is like, you know, Step by Step and like Full House. Yo, white families have it good. They, you know, living in white picket fences and they have a big house. And I'm like sleeping head to toe with all my siblings in one full-size mattress, you know, 4 of us in one bed.
Growing up, we were close-knit, but we were always kind of doing our own things. But, you know, living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 6 people, you're pretty close-knit, even if you don't want to.
And you feel like life is unfair as a very young person, and I wanted more. I wanted to be rich. So school was pretty easy for me growing up. I did pretty well. I remember in 3rd grade, like, the teachers asked my mom to skip me a grade, because I literally had nothing but hundreds. It was just too easy for me. My mom was actually a teacher in the Dominican Republic. When I was a kid, she taught me like how to multiply and all the math stuff that really helped me in the drug dealing world. My dad had the bodega downstairs from the building, and you know, I remember waking up before school, opening up the bodega. You know, I had to sweep, mop, you know, wipe shit down, and then head to school, and then after school come back, you know, work the counter, real child labor shit. First small crime I committed, I remember going to the Economy Candy store, and they had baseball cards. So I was like a big baseball card collector, and I used to steal the baseball cards there and, you know, buy like a Mary Jane candy, pay 5 cents and walk out with like $5, $10 worth of baseball cards and try to sell them at school. One of my cousins, who was like my best friend growing up, he was a bad motherfucker. He's locked up right now. But he was a bad influence on me too. He was the one that smoked weed with me for the first time. At 13, I started dealing like nickel bags and stuff. I was the kid that was smoking in school. It just opened the door because the other kids wanted to smoke. And so they would be like, yo, get me this. And I would go down the block, get it for them. So that was like the first time I made any transaction. It was scary because it was like the first time I brought like a nickel bag to school. And so it was like, you know, passing it under the desk. And it became like a supply and demand for me. I had a beeper, and I remember we used to do like codes and shit. You know how you use backward, like hello, the 43770, you know, do like smaller dumb codes like that. I'm with my little brother, and we're walking. I got a beep. for my boy who lived in the building next door. We met up in the park. He bought a couple nickel bags off of me, and he's like, yo, do you want to smoke? So I sat down, rolled up a blunt. At that time, I used to roll up football blunts. I really didn't know how to roll. I was like, yo, I'm the best blunt roller. I smoked a little bit, passed it back. He passed it back to me. Next thing I know, I feel like this grown-ass man just like grabs my arm.
9 undercover cops just come after my brother.
I dropped down to my knee, and he was like, this is detective, blah, blah, blah. And he cuffed me right away.
I just started shouting, crying. I was wearing my Dare shirt.
And he's like, ah. And so he was like, don't take my brother. And like ripped his jacket off and was like, I'm part of the Dare program.
And so I was just telling the police officer, I'm part of the Dare program, part of the Dare program. You know, I think the cops kind of like almost took a step back and really kind of let costs go with a warning, called our parents. It was the first time where it hit me hard that my brother was up to something. People that I knew in the community were up to something that wasn't probably good.
My mom was mad. My mom was like strictly, like, she thought marijuana was like the devil.
My brother definitely got the talk. And I think my parents, you know, my parents weren't ignorant.
My dad was more practical and was like, just, you know, basically told me like, be smart about it. You know, don't do it outside where you're gonna get seen by other people and get caught. You know, do it inside.
That's when I kind of stopped hanging out with my brother, just because of the reaction my parents had.
But obviously, as a kid, I'm not gonna listen. I feel like all adolescents wanna be have some sort of rebellion. From nickel bags, it turned into, you know, dime bags of Coke. The first time I sold Coke was, I was 14 years old. I'm standing on the corner and this Cokehead came up and he's like, yo, I need 2 bags of Coke. I was like, all right, so I went down to Stanton Street. In Stanton Street, I knew this guy and I bought 2 bags of Coke from him for 15 bucks a pop, and then came back and sold it, you know, and made 10 bucks. That was the first time when I was like, yo, I can make way more money than selling nickel bags of weed, where I'm like profiting like 2 bucks per bag. And like these people are coming for $40 worth, you know, I just opened up my eyes. From dime bags of Coke, it went to 20s of Coke, and just being out there for like 1.5 years, 2 years, just in and out, hustling. And there was nobody that was doing it like I was doing it. I was just like up all day, all night, and that's how it progressed. And after a while, I like basically inherited the block. I'll be sitting on the stoop. People will pass me the money. I'll have like the Nextel walkie-talkies, be like, yo, you know, hit them with this amount. And so my boy will be on a roof or through one of the building apartments and just throw it on the other side of the building. And I'll tell people like, go around the corner, catch the shit coming off the roof, and then just keep it moving. So it was not like a hand-to-hand transaction. I mean, it was pretty obvious that we were doing stupid shit like that, but for us, our mindset was like technicalities are that I'm not handing any drugs directly to them. It's coming off the sky, like God sent it to you. And you have no proof. You're just handing me money, you know? So that was my mentality behind that operation. I don't even remember the first time I met Joey, but I knew of Joey and like seen him on the block, seen him in the hood.
My name is Jose La Llave, and in Spanish it means the key. People call me the key. I first met Cos probably in the early 2000s.
When I really started messing with him, I was like 16. Joey was always doing all types of other hustles, like setting up shop right on the corner. And like, I'm hustling, and I'm like, yo, what the f is he doing? And he's like, open up the box and just selling like white teas for $1 to like Chinese people, and just like coming up with $1,000 off like selling shit like that.
You know, he had his own way of doing things, I had my own way, and he was just the perfect 1-2 punch for me. We were ambitious and determined. We didn't realize it at the time, but we had certain entrepreneurial skills.
And so one day he comes up to me, he's like, yo, I need this amount of work. I think he bought like maybe like $500 worth of Coke. Then I give him like a discount so he can make money off of it. And then he came back and he was like, yo, I need more. And then he went over there, sold whatever he needed to sell to whoever he needed to sell, and then came back and bought more. And I'm like, yo, I'm out. And he was like, yo, I need more, I need more, I need more. Now, like, just like very demanding and aggressive. I saw that similarity of like having that hunger, having that desire to be rich. I was like, yo, I need help run the block. And right there and then, we just made the decision. We put our money together. I think we just bought like 2 ounces of Coke or something like that. And, you know, we just started operating together.
We formed a union that night, and that's how it all started.
The energy that we just bounced off of each other, like I've never seen a hustler like him, and he's never seen a hustler like me. We both had that hunger where we like, any way, means necessary, we're gonna get this motherfucking money. It was this rookie cop. He was like, I'm gonna search him again. And I'm like, Joey and I went into business together. For us, it's like business never ended. Dealing with coke, selling crack as a teenager, I was just hungry. We worked our ass off.
Every day, 365 days in a year, we never had no time to hang out or be with our families. I don't even know what holidays are. I don't give a shit about none of that.
This is embarrassing, but I remember him, you know, going in between cars and taking a shit. And like, cause we didn't want to get off the block. Like he was like, yo, I can't go upstairs. We're gonna miss the sale. And like, he's like, yo, but I gotta use the bathroom. And he like went between cars. Like, yo, this motherfucker is serious. He's like, yo, Cause, get me toilet paper. And I'm like, getting toilet paper, like throwing it at him as a football. And like, it was a movie. Like even brushing our teeth, we would like buy the quart of water, buy a new toothbrush, buy a toothpaste. We actually took like no-dose pills, like caffeine pills to like, you know, keep us up. Cause like, at 4 or 5 in the morning was when it came like this extra wave of calls and people showing up to the corner, because there was like no other corner that was like really operating as like 24 hours a day. I remember I went home after like 3 days. I was like up in the streets, tired, like hustling all day, all night, and I was staying up days at a time. But I remember having like 5,000 bags of crack, $50,000 worth on the street. And I just finished like getting it from my connect. And I get to my mom's crib. I was living on Broome and Eldridge at the time, but I went over there because I picked up the crack from my connect in the first floor of my mom's building. And I like just started watching TV there, just chilling. And I had like a big hoodie and I got like a big ass plastic Ziploc bag of just a whole bunch of crack. And I fell asleep there. My dad woke me up and there was crack everywhere in my mom's apartment. Like literally it was like from the bathroom, kitchen to the living room, and it was just like a whole bunch of crack everywhere. I felt so embarrassed. I was like, oh shit, how the all this shit got around. I don't know how the hell it got all over the apartment. I must have been sleepwalking because I was like dead. And I woke up in the couch pretty much in like the same position, like it was raining crack, you know. It's raining, hallelujah. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother used to sleepwalk all the time. You know, he'll just get up, sometimes just go to the couch, turn on the TV, and just sit there. He was asleep. And my brother's a hard sleeper, so like, he's knocked out, he's sleepwalking, you can't wake him up.
My dad passed me a broom and a dustpan, and we just started sweeping up everything and putting it in the Ziploc. I was just really surprised that he helped me pick it up. I guess he understood that, you know, he couldn't throw it away. I would have probably had some repercussion on the street. He's like, get that shit out of the crib. It's like, whatever, you know, like, yeah, not a lot of people know about that. There was this crackhead named Chula. Chula was like next level gangster. Like I seen her like bring a knife to a gunfight, literally. So I get a call from her and she's like, yo, come to building A. It was like 3 blocks, go upstairs to the crack house. I got like 50 bags of crack on me. And I knock on the door, opened up. I go in there, make the sale. Next thing I know, that like the cops, they bring that like that big black shit that they knock down the door with. So like bang the door, and the other crackheads was just like scared, and I was scared. And Chula was by the door, and she like stood by the door and was like, put her whole body into it. I had like 7 bags of weed on me. And so I took the 7 bags of weed and I just threw it behind the stove. And then eventually they just rammed the door. About like 10 cops and detectives come in. And they start searching the whole apartment. They find the weed. One of the crackheads snitched on me and said like, that was his weed. I thought it was one of those situations where I'm like, yo, I'm only going in for weed. I'm good, you know, blah, blah, blah. I get out to the hallway. I'm in cuffs. And there was this rookie cop. He was like, I'm gonna search him again. And I'm like, I remember I had a Rockaware jacket. It was like one of those flight jackets. And in the seams, in the seam of it, I had a little hole just slit right there. And I had a whole bunch of bags of crack throughout the whole seam of the jacket. And so he opens up, like, you know, spreads my legs. I'm still in cuffs. And like, he was very aggressive where like he banged my head against the wall and he searched me. And then he felt like a little slit and just put his finger in there. And that was it. You know, he saw 1 bag of crack and he saw 2, 3. They just kept coming out. Like, shit, this is gonna be a serious situation. He was like, what the f? So then he took like a switchblade knife and ripped my whole jacket off me with the cuffs on me. And that was it. That was my first felony. I had to be sent to Rikers Island.
It was a shock. But it was a shock because I didn't want to tell anyone about it, especially once I got into middle school and high school. Slowly, he almost became invisible.
It's not a pretty place. I remember like laying on my bed and there was just like thousands of mice just crawling all over the floor. It's like a horror movie. And I remember actually, the second day I was there, somebody got stabbed on my bed with a broomstick.
My brother had an Uber-style delivering service before there was like Uber Eats. Before there was Seamless, there was Carlton Joey.
This guy like dropped on my bed. Then I'm like, yo, get the f off my bed. The riot team came. We call them the Turtles because they come with like this, they look like Ninja Turtle outfit suits. The Turtles come in and you need to embrace for impact because they come in with the batons. They just start hitting people as soon as they come in the door, just banging anybody in the way. So you just gotta hit the ground. And so they bang up a couple people, they take people to the box. The whole dorm is just like, everything is just flipped, beds all over the place, you know. And I get back to my bed and my sheets were like just covered in blood. And I remember like the officer was like, yo, it's night, lights out, everybody go to bed. I'm like, yo, I'm not going to bed. You got blood on my sheets right here. You know, I flipped the mattress around. There was blood on the other side of the plastic mattress. But at least I got a clean sheet and went to bed. So at 17, I got probation. I felt like I was not gonna sell drugs anymore. I was gonna turn a new leaf and like do the right thing. So I graduated from high school. I got accepted to UAlbany. That was like one of the first people in my family to go to college. But I brought some weed with me. I was just gonna smoke it for myself. And my roommate, he was like, word, what you got? So like I showed him, he's like, oh, and he bought like $100 worth right away. I had no intention of selling drugs up there. It was just supply and demand, you know. Next thing I know, I was bringing ounces of coke up to Albany, selling it. So like my branding was like these like plastic Ziploc Superman bags. After a month and a half in college, we threw a crazy party. We had like 200-300 girls. The cops raided us. Boom, knocked the door down. Came dogs, the whole canine unit. They found like the Superman Ziploc bags. They gave me an ultimatum. They said, you know, leave the school or I could get arrested. So I got like banned from college. I don't know why that was not a wake-up call for me, but I go back to Manhattan. I like went back to the streets and did it again. It was when like white people started moving to the Lower East Side.
Gentrification, real estate started going up, rent was ridiculous, so that in turn brought in better clientele.
So, Happy Endings. It was a massage parlor back in the day, and then it became Happy Ending, the bar club. When Happy Endings opened up, there was like a set of just like hipsters coming down the block.
These bars and lounges in the community offered better prospects and was far more lucrative.
Joey and I literally would just go up to people and say, we have blow. People on the block thought we were crazy because we were selling to white people. Everybody thought a white person was a cop. We took that risk and we became that first group to hustle to, you know, random people. And that's where our hustle changed.
I made a proposition to him, let's create a service. Everybody was still doing the street corner thing. I already knew that the service phone thing, nobody else was really delivering stuff. Nobody else was really trying to cater to the high-end clientele.
And from there, we took it to the next level where we stopped dealing on the corner. Joey and I went to Kinko's and we made 10,000 business cards and like made it legit. It was all black, said Happy Endings, 3 phone numbers on it, and it said 24/7 on it. And that was it. We started handing out the cards like wildfire. We was taking a huge risk. But you know what? The business cards affected the business and really took it to the next level. Basically, our target market changed when we branded ourselves as Happy Endings. It was so many phone calls after that. It was like literally our 3 phones that I had on that business card just blew up.
My brother had an Uber-style delivery service before there was like Uber Eats, right? Before there was Seamless, there was Cross and Joey.
Then it got to the point where we had 5 calls like every other minute, and we just couldn't keep up with that pace. So we had to employ people that was from the block. They didn't have their license, so we started buying bikes. In the beginning, it was local, so we had to meet the demand there. And then it started expanding. People started calling out in Jersey. People started calling out in Long Island.
Everybody was hustling for us. Everybody that was our friends growing up became our employees. We started wearing suits because I caught that crack case, and then I was going back and forth to court. I spent like a year going back and forth to court. And every time I would go to court, I would wear like, you know, button up, a tie, a suit sometimes. And I was like selling drugs like on my way going to court or like coming out of court. That's how the business suits started and just acting more professional. Dealing drugs on a corner, sitting on a milk crate was completely different from, you know, wearing a business suit and going down to Wall Street and just fitting in. It took a turn, and it felt like we were incognito for a minute because it like cops would stop us and let us go sometimes because we were wearing suits. We looked like we had a legit job. You know, we were running late to work while we like doing 100 miles per hour down 5th Avenue.
And then the whole pitch line, business cards stapled with a bag of coke. Listen, we're punctual, proper attire, we go anywhere. We were one of the first people in that time frame to have a service.
Seeing kind of like the people that was coming up to him were much more professional, were much more white, much more educated. You could connect the pieces.
We changed our language. We changed the way we approach the individuals. I was not like, yo, what's good, blah, blah, blah. It was like actually speaking correct English, not ghetto language, making sure people understood us and like proper handshakes and like basically doing a startup where you're like being scrappy in every other way and then turning corporate.
I think when Koss really hit that other level, I think he became more responsible in his lifestyle. But I think at that point, he was so deep into the game, but it didn't change his decision-making overall. And that's when you realize that, you know, it was something much greater than what we saw when he was 13 and 14 years old.
And that's when the business started like booming. I see this white guy, he looks at me and I look at him and he's like, Cost Marte, and I'm like, how the you know my name? He's like, pulls out his badge. The calls were getting so insane that we were like literally picking up 2 phones at a time. Like we couldn't keep up with the demand. It became a real operation after a while where we had multiple dispatchers. It was like 12-hour shifts and then just a whole bunch of drivers.
It picked up so fast. The first few days, it was like $700 to $1,100. And then towards the summertime and out of nowhere, everything was just consistently, everything over $3,000 a day. The goal was, if we made $3,000 a day for 365 days in the year, that's $1,095,000.
And then we had like stash houses in the Bronx and Washington Heights. It was like business 101 where we were like, all right, this is the game plan and this is how it needs to be structured.
Cost wasn't the dealer anymore. Joey wasn't the dealer anymore. They had multiple levels within the organization structure. And they managed it almost as a CEO. You know, you could say Cost was like the CEO and Joey was more COO.
With the service, those were your clients and you could gauge a quota off of that. Thursdays, I make this amount. Fridays, I make this amount. It's like if it's Fashion Week, that's going right on through. It doesn't matter. That's like one of the biggest weeks. The New Year's week is one of the biggest weeks. Certain holidays, like for Thanksgiving, it slows down because people fly to go see family members. They clean up. There's not that much action going on in the city. But as soon as that weekend, Sunday passes, they're right back at it, calling 1,000 miles per hour.
Cash was everywhere, stacked with rubber bands. Like 20 grand was like this height. Just stashing it in closets, shoe boxes. You could stash like $30,000 per like Jordan shoe box. I probably was pocketing like close to $3 million a year. And I was only like 21. And we was just buying dumb shit. Stupid mink coats and chains and watches and shoes, and we would go like to the Louis Vuitton store on Fifth Avenue and just like come out with like a small little shopping bag, but we'll be spending like 10 grand.
You know, Coogee clothing, he had the new Timbs, and then having 2 cell phones. I saw the symbolic wealth that he carried, and also just the respect, right? People in the neighborhood started talking that my brother kind of was the guy they wanted to be because he had everything.
Joy and I wearing business suits, eating fancy dinners. I always get like a bottle of Grey Goose and Peter Luger's and all this shit.
Every day was like a party. We just did whatever we wanted. We didn't have no sense of responsibility.
So I ended up getting my girlfriend pregnant and I wasn't ready for that. It put a lot of pressure on me to make more money. And I'm like juggling like running the business and then like trying to take care of her. And I started just eating everything she ate. We was just overindulging, living, splurging. Whatever I wanted, I got. We went to make a delivery in like right by Central Park. And I think it was like August. So it was like not cold outside, but we were wearing like mink or some type of fur, stupid shit. And I remember Joey had like the matching hat, like the mink hat with the mink jacket. I don't know who said it first, but it was like, yo, let's take a horse and carriage. And we were like, yo, how much is it for the day? We want to go to the Lower East Side, to our block. We'll give you $500. And it was like, nah, like the ticket's gonna be like 1,000. It was like, we'll give you $5,000. And they were like, nope, nope, nope. And then this guy was like, all right, I'll do it. We were like literally stopping traffic. Those horse and carriages are super slow and so many cars like beeping and we're like going down like Fifth Avenue and people were just like buying drugs off of us on the horse and carriage.
And somebody had said, listen, I'm on 39th and 7th. I said, oh shit, I'm a block away. He said, what car are you in? I said, I'm not in a car, believe it or not, I'm in a horse and carriage. She's like, oh, you guys are f***ing crazy.
We like stopped in like McDonald's with the horse and carriage, brought it to the block. We had all the little kids like feed it like apples and carrots. I don't know how like we got away with shit like that, but we got away with it. At the height of everything, Joey got locked up. Joey was doing like a year. And so now I'm like running everything on my own. There was this one guy, he was our dispatcher. He started stealing shit. Behind my back, he started a new phone and made new business cards. And he was like making these sales and stealing our customers and directing them to a new phone. And then this guy named Dominic, one of my first customers who bought a lot of cocaine from the beginning. Dominic had my personal number, so he calls me, he's like, yo, this guy gave me some different shit. He actually gave me a new business card. Do you have a new number? And I was like, what? What the f is the number? So I got that number, I called it, the dispatcher picks up, and I'm like, yo, what the f is he doing? And I got all the phones that he had in his possessions. I switched those numbers and I took that number that he started, not knowing that that phone that he started was being tapped by the feds. And that's where I f***ed up. What I did, I was in a stash house in the Bronx. I'm doing all the dispatching now. I didn't trust anybody anymore. And I was sending people to the different locations. I'm sending these guys, they tell me, copy, I'm heading over there, then the phones were being shut down.
We're sorry. The number you have reached is not in service at this time, and there is no new number.
And so I'm like, yo, what the f is going on? So I'm like calling other drivers. I'm like, yo, I need your help, I need your help. And people were like, not available. And then I had no drivers, and I'm like, I'm gonna make this delivery myself. And so I leave the stash house, and as I walk out of the stash house, I see this white guy. He looks at me, and I look at him, and he's like, Cos Marte, and I'm like, what the f? How the f you know my name? He's like, pulls out his badge. This is Drug Enforcement Agent, Detective Joseph King, and he says, your whole operation is over. I like opened it up, I stick my fingers in there, and there was like 10 tabs of acid. My mind was like, it, you know, what more do I have to lose? Let me just get high. On my way down to the precinct, they stick me into this like minivan, and then they take my BMW and they drive it next to me just laughing. And I'm like, these motherfuckers, man. These motherfuckers. As soon as I walk in the precinct, people are clapping, like whooping and hollering and saying like, you're done, you're done. And they take me to this corridor where they have like 10 cells. And as I walk down, I just see like all my drivers in those cells. They take my wallet, they take me to the bathroom, they like strip search me. I had like, I don't know, like 100 bags of Coke in my underwear. And they were like, what the f? You have like Coke everywhere, like, you have more? They give me back my wallet. This wallet, I had a little zipper type of stuff inside. I like opened it up, I stick my fingers in there, and there was like 10 tabs of acid. My mind was like, it, you know, what more do I have to lose? Let me just get high. Took the 10 tabs of acid. The bars were like waving me. And I felt like I could just like open up the bars and like escape. And then they take me to the interrogation room, and that's when it really started hitting me. And I was tripping like crazy. They told the judge that I was high on acid. Judge was like, you're on acid right now.
You're on acid right now.
I'm like, it's like, get him out of the courtroom. We're gonna hit him with the kingpin charges. Ended up in Rikers Island, going back and forth to court.
Me and my dad went to the courtroom where we heard the conviction, and just staring at my brother, I felt like there wasn't a human there anymore. I felt like that wasn't the person I knew. It was kind of like a moment where I felt like he was lost.
Course got locked up. I came out. I was motivated to get in right back into it, and I went and I turned the phones back on. Sure enough, they started their investigation all over, and it was the same officers that arrested him. That's how I ended up catching this case, 9 flat.
I got 7 years, and I was sent upstate. My son was 18 months old when I got locked up, and it really, really killed me to be away from him. You know, I wanted to come home to my family.
I stepped up, started taking him to baseball games, hanging out with him, kind of giving him a father figure to look up to.
Chris had my back. You know, we got really tight, and I owe him a lot for that. I was in Green Correctional Facility. I see Glenn, and I'm like, yo, Glenn, what's good? And he's like, yo, what up, yo, blah, blah, blah. I met Glenn, I think, when he was in elementary school. I remember him being bad. He was like a really bad kid.
Well, it's crazy because I used to see Course every day on the block, and then I get locked up. Next thing you know, I see Course popped up and Green. I'm like, holy cow. He's heavy set, the biggest I've seen him his whole life. He had like some B cups, C cups. He had the belly. He had like 5 pounds on his face. I'm like, yo, what the hell happened to you?
I didn't think I was like fat, or I didn't feel like I was gonna die tomorrow. But when I went upstate, the first thing they do is like take blood work, and then they send you back to the cell unit. Maybe like 2 or 3 days later, they sat me down and they said, you know, your cholesterol levels are really high. They was like, you know, if you continue like living that lifestyle, you could probably die of a heart attack within 5 years. And I was like, what?
He was probably on the verge of probably 300 pounds.
And what they recommended was to like eat correctly and to work out. I like stopped drinking like the prison Kool-Aid, eliminating carbs, eliminating like the processed sugar. Literally maybe 150, 200 calories on my plate. I just started doing dips off the side of my bed, push-ups. In like 5 minutes, I was like, this shit is too f***ing hard. I went to my bed and I like lay there. My son was in my head all the time. I started thinking like, yo, I need to get back into shape. That's when I hit the yard. At first, I felt embarrassed. When I get up to the pull-up bar, I'm like, and like struggling, and people are like, yo, get this f***ing honey bun out of here, man. I just started doing laps. While I was running the yard, people were like calling me Fat Forrest Gump. They were like screaming, yo, he's back, that honey bun motherfucker. I didn't like you, and I just kept running and running.
And every morning I would come out, I would see Course jogging the yard, foom, 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 by himself.
Then eventually I started building myself up where I was like running 2 hours at a time. I noticed that I was like losing crazy weight. They give you the state issue clothes. And so my hands were like falling off me. And I lost 70 pounds in 6 months.
You could see the definition of his cheekbone. We thought he wasn't eating, we were worried about him.
I felt like freedom in a sense, because I just kept running and focused, and it was like a time for me to meditate.
I had the freedom to take the time off and actually go and visit him. And I thought it was important to have his son, you know, see his dad once in a while.
I think Course was just trying to like reinvent himself.
Glenn worked out with me. Other guys started running with me, and we just started doing our own routine.
Working out with Course was intense. He was really militant, he was focused, he was strong-willed. And the workout will actually, you know, help us, you know, get some sleep, because it's hard when you're all alone in your cell and you're thinking about what the world is doing.
I had 2 months left towards my incarceration, and this officer says this is a drug test. He was like, don't f with me, today's not my day. So they put you on a wall, and as soon as he gets like in between my nuts, like I move my body a little bit, and he punched me behind my head. I dropped down to the ground, pick up my glasses. The officer thought I was gonna attack him. So as soon as I turn around, he presses the button. And then they threw me in solitary. I did 30 days in solitary, and I was facing 3 more years. I started praying and asking God, how can I get back for all the wrongdoings that I've done? I felt regret that I hurt a lot of people, and I wanted to give back. What came to my mind was fitness. I wanted to start a fitness company. So I started writing, and I made it like a 90-day routine. I pictured myself doing a boot camp. Sounds crazy. Might be a little schizophrenic or whatever you want to call it, but it felt like I was training people and I was like acting, you know, it's like closed doors, you got nothing to do. I'm training and imagining that there's people right in front of me and I'm like working out with them. So I came home, I'm 160 pounds, like super skinny, pretty much lost everything, all my money, you know, going from job to job to job and nobody wanting to open up that door. So I went back to my mom's. I live on my mom's couch. I think my relationship with my family was not easy. They didn't believe when I was inside and told them like, yo, I'm coming home, I'm gonna do the right thing.
I think he realized the time that he lost, and he was just trying to make that up.
My favorite memory of him, man, seeing him home, man. Transformed and all that. I was happy to see him. That was my favorite memory of him.
I went to the park and started doing the workouts there. And I like took a broken piece of pipe, stuck it between fences, and I just started doing pull-up bar training. Like seeing like some of the guys that I used to hang out with back in the day just sit on the bench just looking at me like I was nuts.
Him, he had a goal. He already said it. He already know what he had to do. He just had to go about doing it.
I came out with the idea like, yo, I'm gonna do a prison-style boot camp. I'm gonna get people out here and work out and all this stuff. And yo, this is gonna pop off. I know it's gonna pop off. I just did it. One of the biggest like fitness health blogs, you know, in the country. They reach out and this lady comes and she's like, so, you know, what's your plan for the future? I wanna build a prison. And that just came out of my mouth. I was like, I wanna build a place where you know, people going through a prison gate, maybe wear a jumpsuit to come work out with me, take a mug shot, you know, 5-minute showers, all this crazy stuff. And then I did it, and it came into fruition. I raised money, and then I started looking for like prison gates. I found out that eBay sells like a lot of prison gates. So ConBody is a prison-style boot camp where we hire formerly incarcerated individuals to teach fitness classes. And today, it's become a fitness lifestyle media brand. I hire people coming out of this system because I felt the pain when I came home. We have a 0 recidivism rate. Nobody has gone back. Anybody that has worked for us has not gone back to the system.
I think one of the most important things that we all learned is that you can change. There was a moment where I thought my brother was lost. My brother was invisible to me. I barely spoke about him. You know, he was on the verge of death. He was on the verge of his son not having a father. You know, he was on the verge of not being known for anything in his life. And I think that's what changed him. And it's something that all of us are proud of.
So I opened up ConBody in the exact same corner on Eldridge and Broome when I first got arrested at with Chris when he had that Dare shirt. And then I went back to a full circle, and now I'm selling fitness there. You know, today we've trained over 20,000 people through ConBody. You know, from idea that started in solitary, it became into, you know, a real thing, a reality. You should record the po-po. It's part of the brand.